Alright, back. Here we are again for more puzzles. So, we have all of these chemicals. Oops. And this. What I see right away is that given the examples of having iron, salt, and water and what they equal to, iron has Fe, which is only 1, and then salt has Na and Cl, which is 2. And then water has H and then 2 oxygen. So it's counting the number of atoms, is it? I don't want to sound stupid. Atoms or molecules or whatever. So I assume that I just have to do the same for the carbon dioxide, ammonia, and ethanol. So carbon dioxide is CO2, so that would be 3. Carbon dioxide would be 3. Ammonia was NH3, that would be 4. Ethanol is C2H5OH, which would be 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 9. So we have 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 9. But I assume that the salt, iron, water is just to figure out how to solve the other numbers. And that those will be the numbers that we need to put in. I'm assuming, I'm hoping. 3, 4, and 9. Did it? Oh, I thought it was wrong. I was like, oh no, I don't have any other ideas. Nice. Fake right arm. It's the right arm of the body. It's kind of creepy. Fake heart. A heart. This thing is super creepy. This ain't good for the heart. Okay. Wait, sick. I'm assuming that's all of this room.
You think we should go back?
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
Clover nodded and left. Junpei was about to follow her when he realized that Seven wasn't following suit.
Hmm?
Hey, Seven, what's up?
Oh, well,
He looked up at Junpei distractedly, and then back down at the brown bottle he held cupped in his large hands. Is he gonna start, like, drinking?
Is that a medicine bottle?
I got curious about it. Here.
In response, Seven tossed the bottle gently to Junpei. He caught it and twisted it around to read the label.
Ethylene diamine tartrate?
Yeah, that's right. CDT.
What kind of medicine is that?
It's not medicine. I think it's an industrial strength detergent.
Why would they have something like that here?
Well, probably to clean stuff up.
Clean what up?
Blood and
Fuck
stuff?
if I know. Still, it looks like it's cleaned my brain up.
What? Junpei looked up from the bottle. Did you drink it?
You remember something?
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Seven nodded and slowly
Well,
spoke.
I remember a story about EDT. Happened about 50 years ago. There was this factory somewhere in America making big old EDT crystals. They were making it to sell as an industrial strength cleaner, like I told you before.
Oh yeah, EDT. Okay, yes, I do recognize that acronym.
A year after the factory started up, something strange started happening with the crystals they were building. Water molecules started attaching themselves to the EDT crystals. This made them into a sort of mutation of the original crystals, called a hydrate. Once the crystals turn into a hydrate, though, it's useless as a cleaner. The factory had to just dump the crystals. As a hydrate, they were useless. But it didn't end there. After that day, the same thing started happening in EDT factories everywhere, even ones nowhere near that first American factory.
I don't... I don't like this plot of people
They've been making
all...
crystals the same way, with the same materials and the same equipment and environment.
I don't like this telepathy theory thing. Obviously, it has something to do with the story, but I'm not into it.
Now, all of a sudden, every single crystal they formed turned into a hydrate. In fact, ever since that day, no factory anywhere has been able to make a pure EDT crystal. Even in EDT research done years before, they'd never gotten a hydrate. But after it happened at the first factory, it just spread. It was like, man, how do you say it?
I'm trying to think of like how this plot that everybody keeps talking about and knows about would connect to like our situation. Obviously, it's really weird that everybody has this information based on different stories. Like June told us the story about... Wait, did she tell us? No, she just kind of brought up the idea of like telepathy, didn't she? And then Lotus brought up the whole like ink blot thing. It wasn't an ink blot, but that whole test thing, and now this.
Like the molecules were communicating with one another, transmitting information in a way humans couldn't perceive. This phenomena spread throughout the world. Right.
Junpei looked up at Seven with half a smirk. Seven stared at him dumbfounded.
Yeah, that's it exactly. But how did you know?
I heard another story, kind of like that one.
Yeah.
When?
In the freezer?
In the freezer.
What? The freezer?
Oh yeah, didn't Santa also tell the
June
story?
told me.
Okay, no, it was June. Never mind. Junpei told Seven the story he'd heard from June in the freezer in the kitchen. How one day glycerin began to crystallize. And the story of ice that wouldn't melt at room temperature. When Junpei was done, Seven looked thoughtful and absent-mindedly rubbed the scar on his
Ice
chin.
that doesn't melt at room temperature, huh?
That sounds familiar?
Yeah, hold up. I feel like I can remember something. It's right there.
Seven squinted. His eyes stared off into space as if he were trying to desperately focus on something far away.
Do you know about Ice 9?
Ice 9? Ice 9. Ice 9. Ice.
Baby. Suddenly, Seven's eyes shot open.
That's it. I remember now. That woman, she's on this boat.
What?
That woman?
Lotus?
Alice!
Is it Lotus's
Who's
name?
Alice?
Come on. The woman who won't melt at room temperature.
Wait, what? Huh? What? Okay, now I'm confused.
Huh?
What, the mummy that June was talking about? It became clear to Seven that Junpei had no idea what he was talking about. He ran his hand across his face and took a deep breath.
You know how the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, right?
Hey, that's almost my birthday. And birth year. I'm not that old.
Yeah, more than 1,500 people died. Worst maritime accident in history. What about it?
Did you hear about the boat that was sent to collect the dead bodies?
I think that was the RMS Carpathia, right? It was a cruise liner, just like the Titanic.
No, that was the ship that picked up the survivors.
Yeah.
The ship that collected the dead bodies was the CS McKay Bennett. The McKay Bennett showed up on April 17th, 2 days after the accident.
That's my birthday.
It set out from Halifax, a port in Canada, and recovered 306 bodies.
Hey, Canada. My birthday, my home.
The Atlantic that far north was really cold. It would have to be for there to be icebergs and stuff. Anyway, the bodies they pulled out of the water were frozen solid.
This isn't a very nice story. So, what happened next?
Well, they say the McKay Bennett recovered something more than just dead bodies. There were various bits of stuff floating around in the water. Things the drowned had carried with them, or stuff that dislodged as the ship sank. One of the things they found was a coffin.
Yeah, this is
A
the mummy,
coffin?
isn't it?
Yeah, a wooden one. The craftsman who made it must have been pretty skilled. It wasn't just a wooden coffin. It was all wood, no nails, no reinforcements, no gaps in the wood anywhere. The thing was airtight. The crew got pretty curious about what might be inside it and opened it up.
It's the
They had to
mummy.
get a wedge and hammer it open. It was so well made. Inside, they found a woman. Or, I guess you should say, they found the dead body of a woman. Her hair was thick and black, and her skin rich brown with no blemishes or signs of decomposition. They say that she looked gorgeous, like a goddess. She was obviously dead, but everyone who looked at her said she just looked like she was sleeping. Her skin was so lifelike, she looked like she might wake up any minute. And she didn't, though. Like the rest of the bodies they found, she was frozen solid. Eventually, the McKay Bennett finished searching and returned to Halifax. The 306 bodies were unloaded and taken ashore. However, it was warm enough that they began to thaw. They say that the stink was horrible. But there was one body that didn't thaw. And that was...
The girl in the coffin.
That's right. Everybody thought for sure that she'd melt and start to rot like the rest of them eventually.
Why does everybody know this story? I don't understand what's
Weeks
going on.
passed and nothing happened. And a month passed, and another. It was summer, and she was still frozen solid. After a while, people started to say she was some sort of miracle. Rumors about her started to spread. People came to visit Halifax from all over. After a while, people started to call her All Ice. Alice. Of course, those rumors didn't last long.
Why?
Well, she up and disappeared. One day Alice was there, the next day she wasn't. They say someone snuck into where they were keeping her and stole the body. With the body gone, the rumors followed pretty quickly. And after a while, no one remembered her.
Why? And you assume she's on this boat?
Might be able to find something about her if you could find a newspaper from back then, but that's about it.
Wait, you just said that she was on this boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Alice has got to be somewhere on this ship.
Why?
Now, why the hell would you say something like that?
Because I know.
Did you put her there?
Just what is it you know?
What happened to Alice after she was stolen?
Junpei
All right.
gulped.
Tell me, what happened to Alice?
Seven nodded slowly and took on the look of a man recalling something long buried.
Well, around that time, the word was that there was a special black market in New York. All millionaires from all over the world. I've heard that Alice went up for auction there. The person who won the auction was Lord Dashiell Gordain.
I see.
You've heard that name before, right?
Yeah, the dude who bought
Lord Gordain.
the boat we're supposedly on.
Oh, isn't he the guy who bought the Gigantic? The Titanic's sister ship?
Yeah, that's him. Although I guess he hadn't done that yet.
What do you mean?
Gordain bought Alice in 1912. 4 years later, in 1916, he bought the Gigantic. And he hid Alice somewhere on the Gigantic.
What year is it right now? Just realizing.
But nobody knows where. He died in 1931.
Wait, did that just say he hid a boat? He hid a huge boat? Is that what he said? Or hid this body?
Apparently, he died without ever telling anyone where Alice was hidden.
Okay, okay.
However,
Well, he did have one close friend who asked him, "Where is Alice?" And he said, "Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic."
what the hell is that? Is it some kind of riddle?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Seven threw his hands up in defeat.
That's it. Whatever you think, I believe it. She's hidden somewhere on the Gigantic. In other words, She's hidden somewhere on this ship.
Before Junpei could dispute Seven's rather bizarre claim, as Junpei was trying to figure out what on earth he was going to say next, Clover's shrill voice pierced through the room.
Hey, what are you two doing over there? Stop
Yeah.
wasting time and get over here.
I was just thinking, we're just like stood in here talking, and Clover's probably like, what the heck?
Okay, we're coming.
Jeez.
She looked at Junpei.
Yeah.
Or Seven looked at Junpei.
It might be useful someday. Don't forget it.
Okay, I'm sure it's plot relevant or something. With that cryptic remark, he turned and left the room.
Alice. Huh.
Junpei was left behind to ponder what he'd just heard. He tried to remember what June had told him earlier.
That mummy wasn't just a normal mummy. They say that she was frozen. The story says that from the time of its discovery all the way through to when it got put on the Titanic. Even though it was carried through the desert, her body never melted.
Then was that Egyptian priestess Alice? Did the water in her body become Ice 9? No, that's nuts. There's no way somebody like that could exist.
Junpei shook his head, trying desperately to clear it, and followed Seven to the operating room where Clover was waiting. Is it gonna let us put, stuff down? Oh, actually, hold on. What?
Fine then.
I thought I'd be able to put it in. Can I not? Why won't it let me put down these parts? Why do I have to carry them all? Preparation room? Is that supposed to be preparation room? It's locked. But... Oops. Cool, it's unlocked. So this key opens both. I think you hang your coat here. There's a bunch of hooks. Let's see if... a piece of paper. What's this? Is this some kind of medical record? New material has been added to the file screen. How do I get to the file? A medical record found in the preparation room. Yeah, it is preparation. It has records for 2 mannequins. There's a male mannequin named John and a female named Lucy. The records show that the mannequins' total weight and the weight of their individual parts. Off. Oh. Okay. Hint? No, thank you. Cabinet with a drawer in it. Ah. What the hell are you doing? Don't you want to get out of here? But I'm tired. What? There's a ray of light going through the beaker. And it's hitting the thing on the right. The white light on top is glowing. Okay, I see. Yeah, but the red, blue, and purple ones still aren't lit. I understand. Oh, let's try it. Hey, it turned red. Forget about that. Forget about that. Didn't you just hear that? Did blah 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 just now? What happened? I don't even know what I unlocked. Oh, I see. Haha. Fake right leg. I'm not even gonna read about it. I'm assuming that these are locked. But I know what to do. Hoo-hoo. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Let's do blue first. Oh my god. Michelle. It's blue now. Noise. I get it. You can bundle it. You get it at the end.
Good job, Junpei. The purple light came on. I heard it unlock. I'm sure it's unlocked. The locker with the purple plate has got to be unlocked.
Alright, let's see what happened. Dun, 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 dun. How are you gonna take those back? Could we have completely messed that up? What would have happened if we mixed the two first? Okay. Can I combine pieces? Okay. It's just annoying. A sink. The doctors and nurses probably washed their hands here before operation. Nothing suspicious here. Sink. Okay. There's a symbol engraved over the keyhole. Hey, this is a Jupiter symbol. Hey, wasn't that Jupiter symbol? Oh, wasn't that Jupiter symbol engraved on the keyhole of the other door? Other door?
The door at the end of the hallway with all those rooms.
You think maybe this door and that door use the same key?
Maybe.
Doors, keyhole, Jupiter symbol. Yeah. Locked.
Do you think this is the exit?
I'm gonna assume so. What? Okay. Can I like... How do I put stuff on this? Okay. So we've collected 6 parts of the medical mannequin. So the ones we've got must be for Lucy, right? Unless some of them are gonna be mixed up. Seems like it. Well, I say we give Lucy her parts back. Any objections?
Nope.
Agreed. Alright, let's get started. Combine!
Hey, nothing happened.
That's odd. Maybe it's the wrong weight?
Wait.
Yeah, well, you know there's a scale on the side of the bed. Maybe... Oh, maybe... That's Junpei talking. Maybe we need to get the scale to a specific number. How are we gonna do that? I think we're supposed to swap body parts with John.
Oh.
Let's give it a shot. Operating instructions. The screen will display 2 medical mannequins. You can switch their body parts by selecting the part you want to switch out. Okay. I believe the chest is right. Okay, hold on. Let's take a look at that. No dice. Okay, so Lucy has to be 53. Let me write these down. John J is 51.3. Lucy is 53. 53.2. Can I weigh the individual things? Like, is that possible? Am I allowed to do that? Okay, let me see. Hold on. Oh, that's too much. Actually, wait, was that too much? Hold on. I wish I could weigh individual pieces. I feel like that would make this a lot easier, wouldn't it? Oh my god. I feel like I must be missing something here. Oh wait, no, it does give you. I get it. I understand. Okay. Wait, do I understand? Maybe I don't understand. I thought I understood. I wish I could look at this and do that. Like, that's annoying. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. How does hers equal 53.2 when everything is a whole number? Huh? Okay, well, let's go with... Okay, the heart is 2, chest is 6. On Lucy. Okay, so that is the correct heart. That's also the correct chest, though. What? It says Lucy weighs 51, right? If you add up everything on her medical record, it's only 21. 51 minus 21 equals 30. So then that means the head and the arms are 30. head and the arms are 30, huh? Does that help me? Stomach should be 5. Arm should be 1. I don't understand. I don't understand. All right. Which doesn't make sense. But that doesn't make sense. 'Cause what the... Oh my god. So are these incorrect then? Okay, I'm assuming... Right. If her thing is 30, so 30 and 2... Okay. It's 41... 43, 44, 48, 51. So yeah, it doesn't add. Okay, I see. So basically I need to figure out what plus what equals 23.2. So I need something with a 0.2. That's probably the 6.2. So 6.2 plus, and then probably the 3. Okay, 6.2 plus 5. Okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I need some of these numbers to go together. Probably these two, maybe? Okay, so 6.2, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We need more. Those two. Okay, hold on. This is 5. This is 6 total. So 6 and 6. 12. Plus another 6 is 16. 16.2. 16.2. 21.2. 23.2. Wait, what? That's too much, isn't it? Hold on. I messed up somewhere. Can I get 0.2 from any of the other ones? No, I think that needs to stay. I think the hearts are probably correct. Because that has a 0.3. I'm pretty sure the chest needs to switch. So it's just figuring out the other pieces. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 40, 50, 50, 30, 18, 19, 20, 21. Six, 10, 11, 12, 12, 17.6, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I don't understand. This isn't adding up for me. What? 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 Did I not do that before? Oh my god. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. It was just... Alright, let's go check out whatever happened. Wait, what happened? What were you asking me to check? Okay. You said something opened? I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, I was so... I was so... It's locked. Wait, what opened? Can I view what was said? What happened? Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Nice. Must have opened because we matched John's weight to the chart. Ta-da! Hey, symbol engraved on the key. Isn't it the Jupiter symbol? Then that means... Let's get out of here. I can't believe that's not the direction I want to go. That was pretty stupid. I don't even know what I really did. Here we go.
Hold on.
Junpei stopped about to put the key into the doorknob.
Oh, what's up?
Where's Clover?
Huh?
Huh? Junpei turned around. Clover was nowhere to be
God
seen.
damn it. Where the hell did she go? Okay, just hold on a minute. I'll go get her.
Sure thing.
Junpei left Seven at the door and headed back to the operating room. He found her standing next to the operating table. She was staring at the mannequin.
Hey, Clover, what's wrong? Come on, let's get out of here.
She didn't respond. If she hadn't been standing up and breathing, Junpei might have thought she was dead.
What are you doing? Did you want to come back here and say goodbye to John?
It wasn't the best joke, but it was something, an attempt to lighten the mood. Clover didn't laugh. She stood stock still and said nothing.
Hey, Clover, can you hear me?
Perhaps it was something he'd said, or perhaps it was something else. Suddenly her mouth opened, and she whispered in a dry, dead voice.
My brother might be dead.
Huh?
That's why we couldn't find him. If he's dead, I'm going to be next.
Why do you assume that? Suddenly, the operating room felt very, very cold. Alright, thanks for slamming the door, people in the hallway. Love it.
What are you talking about? What's wrong with you?
He gave her a small shake, but she still didn't respond. The silence grew heavier. Oh yeah! Let's give her the 4-leaf clover.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't know why, but suddenly Junpei remembered something he'd been given
It's in
earlier.
my pocket somewhere. Here it is.
He reached into his pocket and dug it out.
A 4-leaf clover.
Santa had given it to him in the second classroom. He held it out to Clover.
Hey, did you know? Each leaf means something. Hope, faith, love, and luck. That's what a 4-leaf clover stands for.
I was assumed they just stand for luck, but
Take it. Use it as a good luck charm.
I'll take your word for it, video game. He pressed the 4-leaf clover into her
Listen
hand.
to me, Clover. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck. Snake, I mean, your brother, he's not dead. He's alive, somewhere. I'm sure of it. You've just gotta believe in that.
Clover stared at the 4-leaf clover in her hand. He could see tears start to form at the corners of her eyes.
Thank you.
Her voice was tiny and broken, and as she spoke, she started to cry. She tried to hide her tears by looking at the floor, but it did little good. She wiped away tears with the baggy arms of her jacket, but more quickly took their place. No matter how she tried, she couldn't stop crying. Her tears made small wet circles on the floor.
Thank you.
She said it again. Then she looked up at Junpei and seemed to choke down the last of her grief. She did her best to smile. Junpei wiped an errant tear from her cheek with his thumb and gave her the best smile he could manage.
Seven's waiting for us at the exit.
But still, she
Wait,
didn't move.
Before we go, there's one thing I want to ask you.
Ask away.
What's that?
What do you think when you hear the word experiment?
What? For a moment, his mind froze. Then he came back to his senses and realized the word meant nothing to him aside from the dictionary definition.
What?
Oh. I guess it was just a coincidence then.
What?
I mean, that you knew about the 4-leaf clover.
Look, I'm sorry. I don't want to be a jerk, but you are making less than no sense right now.
Oh, no. It's nothing. Just forget about it.
Oh, don't give me that. You really think I could just drop this? What is this experiment you were talking about?
Clover looked away. The four-leaf clover was still in her hand. She stared at it for a long moment and then finally spoke.
You promise you won't tell anyone?
Sure.
Cross my heart.
Really?
Really?
I can trust you, right?
Of
Sure.
course you can.
You can trust me. I wouldn't trust everybody else, though. Clover slipped the four-leaf clover into her pocket. Her eyes still red from crying, she looked up at Junpei.
Okay then, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened on this ship 9 years ago.
9 years? What?
Wait. On this ship?
Yeah, this ship.
He was entirely lost. Me too, Junpei. He had 1,000 questions, but it was probably best, he thought, to save them until Clover
It
had
was an
finished.
experiment to test some sort of psychic thing.
Oh, is it gonna be more of the telepathy, blah 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 blah?
Communicating through these fields that you can't see.
Fields that you can't see?
They're really driving that in, huh? Clover nodded.
Think about this.
Oh god, how many different explanations am I gonna have to get of the same concept? She pointed at the operating table. On top of it was a somewhat mismatched medical mannequin whose parts had been swapped with another mannequin.
This is John, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is he really John?
Sure. All Junpei could think was she's finally completely
Isn't
lost
this
it.
like Locke's socks?
What?
Or the ship of Theseus?
What? Me too, Junpei. I don't understand either. Although they sounded smart. Okay.
You don't know? You haven't heard of those paradoxes?
No, because I'm not... Oh my god, I'm not into all these weird theory things that everybody else seems to know about.
No?
Junpei shook his head.
Really?
Clover laughed.
Okay, well pay attention then. This is how Locke's socks works.
Locke's socks. That sounds like a sock store.
Let's say I've got a pair of socks. They're my favorite socks. One of them gets a
Right.
hole in it.
Right.
What would you do if that was your sock, Junpei?
Throw it out.
Well, I'd pitch it, I guess.
But it's your favorite pair of socks.
So, it's a sock.
Come on, who loves their socks that much?
It doesn't matter. Just suppose you do love them that much.
Well, I guess then I'd patch it.
Why though? Why not try and buy a similar pair of socks?
But what if another hole opens?
I'd add another patch, I suppose.
Oh, you're trying to say, like, at what point is it still the same socks?
What if another hole opened after that?
Yeah, I just throw it out.
Another patch?
Well, let's say you just keep adding new patches. Until eventually, the original cloth of the sock is totally gone. Once you get to that point, can you really say they're the same socks you started with?
At that point, you should have just thrown them out.
Well, that's tough.
Junpei crossed his arms.
So, that's the lock socks thing?
Yeah, the Ship of Theseus is a lot like it. The Ship of Theseus. If you keep fixing the damaged parts of a ship, eventually it ends up with none of the parts it started with. Can you really say that ship is the same one you started with? And what if you took all the old parts from the first ship and built another one somewhere else? Then which ship is the real Ship of Theseus?
I mean, it's just
The one
names,
you
right?
repaired, or the one you built with all the original parts?
It's an interesting question. Clover could see Junpei was intrigued.
Hey, do you think it's the same?
What's the same?
These guys. Is this John, or is it Lucy now?
I mean, if we're going with this psychology kind of thing, it would be whoever's mind it is. So it would be whoever's head it is. because that makes the person, right? If we're looking at it like mannequins, I mean, it would be whoever has the most parts, I guess. But you typically, if you look at it from a human standpoint, you go with whoever's head it has. A mannequin full of body parts from a different body. Clover had been right. It is just like Lock Socks in the Ship of Theseus. The part of the body that holds the person's identity is the head. Of course, for many hundreds of years, conventional wisdom had held that a man's identity resided in his heart or any number of internal organs, but that's not true. It's the mind. And here they had both.
John's head and heart are both his. But apart from those and a single arm, the rest of his body was once Lucy's.
I mean, it's the same with getting a transplant. If you get a heart transplant, it's still you. Like, was that mannequin really John? Yes.
We're just like these mannequins.
What? She looked at Junpei
Think
again.
about it. The cells in our body change every day. Old ones die and new ones are born. Maybe part of my arm is made of stuff from a fish I ate once.
What are you
Or
talking
maybe part
about?
of your right side is made from a cow you ate. If you take it a little further, those cows and fishes are made from something else too, right? That's how we're all connected. Through
Alright.
fields that can't be seen with the naked eye.
The silence was broke by 7.
Hey, what the hell is taking you two so long?
We're having a psychological talk right now. 7's head appeared in the doorway. He was not happy.
How long are you gonna make me wait?
Yeah,
We
exactly.
don't have
Let's
time
go.
to screw around.
Junpei and Clover looked at each other. Clover looked at Junpei as if to say there was more she wanted to tell him. Yeah, she just kind of went on this little rant thing about stuff and didn't actually talk about the thing that mattered, which was experiments taking place 9 years ago. She shook her head. Whatever she had to tell him, she didn't want to tell him in front of 7. 7 seemed to catch on.
Oh? What were you two doing? Was this some sort of secret meeting?
No, it wasn't. We were just
Just...
playing with the mannequins.
Huh?
What?
Let's go, Junpei.
Moving a little bit too fast to be entirely innocent, Clover headed toward the exit. 7 stared after her, then turned to Junpei with an amused expression.
Playing with mannequins, huh? Didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Junpei.
Alright, let's go.
You're a dick.
Junpei dashed past him and traced Clover's path out the door. With a short laugh, 7 followed. They stood in front of the door. Junpei took out the Jupiter key.
Alright, I'm gonna open it now. Is that cool?
You don't need to keep asking, just do it, alright?
Fine then.
He slid the key into the keyhole and turned it. He felt it unlock. It's nothingness. The door opened with a soft, melancholy creak. Beyond it lay a simple white hallway. There was no fanfare or confetti. Obviously, there was no one there to applaud them. They simply walked through the door. That was it.
Alright, let's get going.
Hey man, what's up with you? You're so serious, you know?
Yeah.
Can't you sound more happy, you know, get a little excited?
No.
Not really.
Junpei turned away from 7 and took his first step down the simple white hallway.
My brother might be dead. I'm going to be next.
Clover had told him only a few minutes before that her brother was probably dead, and she was likely to follow him.
Like hell I can. Not after hearing something like that.
You found it! They left the operating room. The hallway took them around several corners and past several doors, but they were all locked.
There too, huh? Every door in this place is locked up tight.
How about that one?
That looks like one of the doors that we went through to get in this. The final door was hidden in a corner of the hall.
May as well give it a try.
Junpei grabbed the handle. As he made to push it open, a voice stopped him. The voice came from behind him and belonged to neither Seven nor Clover.
Jumpy!
Huh?
Yeah. He saw someone running toward him from the other end of the hallway. There were 3 people coming toward Junpei and his companions.
June? And Santa? And Lotus too?
They pulled up short in front of Junpei, breathing hard.
Whoa! What the hell is this?
What are you doing here?
Why are you surprised?
But we didn't...
Before he could finish, Clover spoke.
Hey guys! Could you come take a look at this?
She was standing near the end of the hallway that branched off to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious as to what she'd found.
Look on the wall here.
There was something on the wall at the end of the hallway.
A map of the ship's interior?
It says C deck.
So it's the map for this floor then?
Okay.
Door 7. And... Door 8. Yep. They both eventually end up at this hallway.
Yeah. In fact.
Yeah, isn't that what I said? We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works.
I see.
Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again.
Wait a sec. Hey, could this lead to...
As he looked more closely, his surprise and excitement gave way to weariness. Oh, does it lead back through the door that didn't have a number on it, so they could maybe go back and get Ace?
Kidding me.
One by one, the others saw what he'd seen.
We may as well go.
Yeah.
Oh, is that... Wait.
Oh, almost forgot. We should keep this.
This was the only open door, so... Wait. Does that mean... Oh, but we have a key now, right? So we can go through other doors? He pulled the map of the ship's interior off the wall and put it in his pockets and followed the others. 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward. He took hold of the door and spoke without looking back at the other 5.
I'm gonna open it.
Slowly, all 5 nodded in their silence, nodded their silent assent. Assent? With a deep breath, Santa threw open the door. So we did all that choosing for nothing. It didn't matter. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each one of them knew where they were.
I knew it.
They were just where the map had said they would be.
We're back. In the hospital room.
So even
I
if one
see.
person had gone through.
I believe I understand what you're saying.
What? You're
The
awake?
6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8. You solved the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory, and then met one another in the hallway after opening your respective locked doors.
He looked like anyone might after only just waking up, but it seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report. I'm glad that we were able to come back to get him, though, because that was a little bit annoying.
At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though.
Ace shook his head with a rueful smile.
Well, we saw each other again and we ain't dead, so I say that's good enough.
Seven
Anyway,
smiled.
I say we get out of this creepy old place.
Wait, I didn't look at the map. Oh my gosh. Wait, where are we? Where are we? Casino. Kitchen. Single cabin. Oh, okay, there we are. Would this have led to... shower room? Would number 3 have led to the same place? Looks like it would have.
We found the key we need.
The key?
Ain't that what I just said? I'm talking about the Jupiter key. We found it in the operating room. Right, Junpei?
Yeah.
Junpei
Oh,
nodded.
the solar system keys.
Did they get anything?
Actually, we found one in the laboratory too.
Okay. Does that mean
Here.
we'll eventually
Here.
have to go through 3? The door 3 to get another key? Lotus dug out a still warm key with the Earth symbol on it.
I might lose it. It's probably better if you hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost.
Yeah. On it.
Yep, I'm the protagonist. Give me the things to hold. And with that, she pressed it into Junpei's hand. He felt slightly less than
Ah,
honored.
we have 3 keys that we haven't used yet.
Yeah. The Jupiter key that we found in the operating room. The Saturn key card we found in the kitchen. And the Earth key Lotus just gave me.
Junpei tucked the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up.
The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right?
Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then, next to the stairs...
Wait!
They were the first words anyone had heard out of Clover in quite some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy words.
What about door 3?
Yeah.
Look, you saw the map, right?
It does circle back around, but I assume there's something in there.
It's the same as 7 and 8. Just lead us back to the big hospital room. There's no point to seeing what's on the other side of that door.
There is a point.
Oh, right. Her brother, too.
At least there is for me.
There were tears in her eyes, but she glared at 7 as hard as she could, just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. I kind of doubt he'd be in there, but there wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. 7 looked everywhere in the room except at Clover, and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath.
Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Snake might be on the other side of door 3.
Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace.
Very well. I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again. So 7, you'll help me, won't you?
Huh? Me?
Yeah, 1, 4, 5, 7. Yeah, they have to go in. Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. Me. Looked like 7 was doing them too. At last he gave up.
Well, I guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh?
Yes, you are.
Alright, let's get moving.
And so it was decided that Clover, Ace, and 7 would discover what lay beyond door 3. And hopefully we're not just gonna
Okay,
sit
we're
here and
heading out.
wait. We'll look around, right?
Be careful.
Whoa. Didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus.
Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it. The rest of us can't open the 9 door.
Ah, the truth comes out.
7 nodded, as if this answer made much more sense, and pulled the lever on the red.
Okay, we're off.
The door opened and Ace, Clover, and 7 jumped through it. 6, 7, 8. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisily.
Alright, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Get moving.
Yeah, we're not just gonna sit here and wait for them to come back.
Where are we going?
We gotta look around. Everyone except Lotus seemed rather
Well, it would
confused.
be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for once, I agree.
Let me explain.
Oh, I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key.
Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake.
They were at the end of the hallway, lined by individual hospital rooms.
And here's the Jupiter symbol on the keyhole.
Yeah, because there is a chance if Snake received extra information, there's a chance that he could have also received like extra items or something that he might have used to go somewhere
Alright,
that we
Junpei,
can't.
open it if you please.
Yeah, on it.
He twisted. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Junpei sucked in a breath, held it, and opened the door as quietly as he could. Why are you opening it so quiet? Being stealthy. Inside was exactly what he expected to see from the map of the ship's interior. They were in the tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with massive central staircase.
Great, back to the beginning. You sure this is a good idea?
What do you mean?
Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we?
Yeah, but we have more stuff.
Asking you if there's any reason we came back here.
Don't we have things to open stuff in here?
Of course there's a reason. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky.
Huh?
This.
Junpei pulled 2 things out of his pockets. Yeah.
The Saturn key card. And the Earth key? I'm lost.
Really? Come on. Santa cocked his head to the side like an inquisitive bird and looked at them. After several long moments, during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the cards meant, June took pity on him.
Don't you remember, Santa? On C deck, where we are now, there was a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it, I think. So, the 2 keys that Jumpy has?
Should let us use the elevator and the door on A deck.
Yes, that's right.
Also, we probably should have We probably should have told the people who went into door number 3 that we were going to be looking around, because what if they pop out and we're not there and they're like, what the heck, where'd they go? June smiled, pleased with herself. So did Santa.
All right, I got it. Let's get started then. What do you say we split into 2 teams? Lotus and I will search the Earth one, so you 2 can search Saturn, all right?
Sounds
Sure.
good. Then you guys should take this key.
Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa, so I didn't even need to hold it in the first place. They decided that their initial search should be brief.
We have no idea what's on the other side of these. So don't go too far. Just search for 10 minutes and come back.
Plan decided the 2 teams split up. Junpei and June headed for
There's a
the
card
elevators.
reader next to the left elevator.
Then let's try out the Saturn key card.
At least we know by splitting into groups of 2 that they can't, like, try and push ahead and leave us. Even though I don't think they'd be that stupid to do that. A light on the upper left corner blinked
Great.
to life.
It looks like it's working now.
All right, now how do I call the elevator?
There was a single button on the right of the elevator door.
Oh, it only has the upside down triangle on it.
So that means it only goes down.
I guess there's no up button.
Wait. We're on which deck? C deck? Does that mean this will go down to D deck? Are we gonna just open it up and it's gonna be flooded?
Well, we may as well try pushing this one.
Okay. The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down. Or maybe we'll be able to go.
Opened. Look, Jumpy.
June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tinge of anxiety.
Sweet! It opened! Let's get going.
He grinned at June and stepped towards the door. As he was about to set foot in it, he felt a hand on his arm.
Wait.
Are you afraid of elevators?
I'm not really, I just, oh gosh.
Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? Okay, yeah, they could only go down. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, you do have a reason to. She was afraid because the only elevator button pointed down. That meant, of course, that the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen elevators on A or B decks near the central staircase. All of which meant the elevator could only convey them to the lower decks.
Come to think of it, the lower floor, D deck, is completely underwater. An elevator heading to a submerged floor. That is pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right?
Did it? I guess it
well,
did.
yes, I guess it did.
And there's no water in it,
Didn't
so it
open
should
right
be
away
fine.
after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise, like it was moving, and then it opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, take a look inside.
Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator. I thought it had come down
it's not
to
wet
us.
at all, is it?
But
The
I guess that
walls
wouldn't
and
really
even the
make
floor are
sense.
totally dry.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense if it can't go up.
Oh, you're right. They are.
She looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed.
Well, let's test it.
Test it.
Yeah, watch this. Now, I'll just put one foot inside the elevator and look over at the buttons. Oh, there's only two, E and C. All right, I'll push E.
Are we gonna go lower? Are we gonna go to, like, the basement? He pushed the E button and jumped out of the elevator. Oh, okay, I see what he's doing. I was thinking of that too. I was like, how could they, like, try sending it down and see what happens and then calling it back up? But I guess it works if you just hop in and hop out. The door slid shut and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
I think I can hear it opening on E deck.
Okay, that's done. Now I'll just press the button again.
A few moments later, the elevator returned.
Yep, not a single drop of water to be seen.
Okie doke. Junpei couldn't resist puffing out his chest just a little bit. June, however, still looked confused.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
How can E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water?
Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you.
He pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration.
I see. So is that why the ship hasn't sunk? The shape of the inside keeps it all from filling with water?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his
I'm
pocket.
gonna go down and check it out. You stay here, all right?
But...
Come on, just do it, all right?
He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze, then hopped into the elevator. He pushed the E button and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she was trying to make a decision when suddenly she's gonna hop in.
I'm coming with you.
Yeah. At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors.
Wait!
Junpei slammed his finger against the open button, but it was too late.
Oh, crap. It closed.
The door had shut. He and June were in the elevator, and it was heading down to E-Deck. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on the E-Deck.
I can't just let you go alone, you know.
Ah, jeez.
The elevator stopped, and the door slid open. They tentatively stepped out and looked around.
Looks normal.
No fish going about their fishy business or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish. Or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out, her mouth a tiny intense frown. Okay. Why are you holding your breath?
Knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here.
June looked around nervously then. Why would it take you so long to realize? Okay, whatever. Exhale.
You're right. It's not flooded at all.
See?
But there's a whole lot of water.
Yeah, right on top of us.
What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks?
Junpei thought about that for a moment.
We'd probably die.
Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that.
Well, we did tell you to wait upstairs.
At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back.
Okay, good idea.
Now then.
Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one.
Bars. Well, we can't go over there.
Right.
Then maybe.
Oh, because that's where the other elevator goes? In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening. He walked up to it and stuck his head around the corner. Oh.
It looks like there's a long straight hallway down this way.
And a 6.
Something's written on the door at the end. Wait, is that...
Yeah.
Let's check.
It's a number. Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. That's an odd way to describe that. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6.
I knew it!
This is a numbered door.
And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door.
But we can't do anything with only the 2 of us.
We better head back and let everyone know.
Yes.
Yeah, I assume the Lotus and Santa will have found something too. Junpei and June turned and headed back to the C-deck. And by something,
Wait,
I mean a door.
What's this?
On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall. Oh, is it going to be a map of that floor?
Is this the map for E-Deck? I should take it with me.
Are we going to get to see it?
Huh, so you guys found door 1.
Door 1. Oh, okay, yeah. They met back up with Santa and Lotus, who had explained what they'd found. Apparently, there was another numbered door on A-Deck, just like the one on E-Deck, beyond the door that the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door.
So now we've located 2 new doors. The 6 door and the 1 door.
You know, it is interesting that E-Deck wasn't flooded.
Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought.
We don't really know if all of E-Deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Even so, it's still very interesting.
You said the 6th door was there, right?
Yes.
Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah, I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash.
Yes, it does make sense.
I don't really have any theories right now. That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. Okay, we said quiet, not That doesn't... June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing.
Yeah?
I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here.
June looked up at Junpei with large pleading
you're
eyes.
Right. Ace and his team might be back already.
Yeah.
Well, Junpei and I should be able to open door 1.
I don't want to go with you.
Huh? You guys leaving me behind?
Wait, what? Oh, yeah.
Just kidding. All right, let's go.
Yeah, because I don't really want to go with you. Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed from across the room.
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
Yeah, see, we should have said something. Why'd we just leave?
7?
I assume they did not find him. Ace was right behind him, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back.
What's wrong?
It looked as though there was something strange about them. 7 had a look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was only moments from passing out entirely. What? For a long moment, they stood there looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at 7.
What happened?
What the hell kind of question is that?
7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him hard. Did you find Snake? Not alive? His shoulders were trembling, and his voice was strained.
Snake is...
7 couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by... Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke.
Snake is... dead.
What? Does that mean we could have went through the number 3 door, right? Does that mean we could have found him?
He died, just as the 9th man did.
Why? It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and then he realized he was having trouble breathing. He could feel cold sweat beating on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt. All 3 were frozen in place, their faces white.
That's not true, is it?
I don't understand.
We should make sure.
Yeah, right. We should.
They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door.
Wait, not that way.
What? Why not?
I guess we can just go back around, right? They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at the door with no number.
I stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way.
That's actually very smart.
It's not locked, so you can go in that way.
Where is he?
They seem not far from
Shower.
the door.
The left side of the hallway.
How would he... Okay, let's
Put a
just
broom
go
in there,
see
too.
first.
Keep the door open.
That means we can get in without going through the numbered door, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then let's go.
Their new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall.
This wasn't open when we passed here before.
But now, just as Seven had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open.
Let's keep going.
They looked at it for a moment, then stepped inside.
Oh, it smells horrible.
I'm surprised that she's even coming in. Same with, Santa, because didn't they not want to do that? Lotus wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pinched his nose shut.
Ugh, yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke.
It was just as bad as they said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down his throat to pound against the entrance to his stomach. Oh, burnt meat, I guess from the explosion. He put his hands over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged.
Where is he? Where's Snake?
Why is there an LR there? They didn't have to wonder where the body was. There was blood everywhere. A few arms... Wait, what? A few arms of the splatter reaching toward them as they walked through the door. All one had to do was follow the radial arms to their source. The body itself was hidden behind
June,
a divider.
You should stay here.
But...
Please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright?
He didn't give her a chance to say no. He put his hand on her shoulder as if to shove her into the ground like a tent pole, turned and walked toward the divider.
I'm going in.
Felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed timidly and nervously as a pair of children. Eventually, they reached the divider. They looked at one another, nodded, then slowly, Junpei put his hand on the divider and peered around the corner. I don't know if I would have put my hand on the divider. There's probably blood there. For a moment, he forgot to breathe. He felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton, and time froze. He knew in that instant that he would take the image before him to the grave. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh torn from the body sat in the blood like tiny islands in a great red sea. A vast ragged hole had been torn in the torso, and what remained of his intestines spilled out like fresh spaghetti. Alright, that's a great mental image. Smaller chunks of meat had splattered against the wall and become stuck there as they dried. Globules of yellowish fat had left trails like tiny slugs as gravity pulled them down the wall, even as they dried to it.
Just like he said.
Santa's voice was strained. Junpei suspected he was holding down some vomit of his own. But, okay, there is enough of the body left to, like, see that it's him.
Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his bracelet set off the bomb in his gut.
It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful.
Oh god. The bone is coming out of his left arm.
It's definitely an open fracture.
His legs were both bent in an odd, unnatural way, and his arm had split open, exposing the painful white bone of his ulna? I can't pronounce that. His bracelet lay next to him. It seemed to have hit the wall hard enough to have shattered the display, which lay on the ground in pieces.
The face. It's horrible.
Yeah, you can't even tell who it is.
Half of his head had simply collapsed. The blood coating made it look like raw pizza dough covered in tomato sauce. His clothes, too, were covered in blood, but are they his clothes? Oh. Okay. The burgundy tie, the white shirt, the jacket with the yellow piping, and the gray slacks.
But the clothes are...
They were all familiar to Junpei.
No mistake about it. It's Snake.
Lotus's voice was unnaturally deep and strained as Junpei heard it catch in her throat. So, like, what the heck? Wait, why are we back here? There was stuff written on the wall. Unless that was part of puzzles that needed to be solved there. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. What? No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly into her chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered.
Yeah, like, the number 3 door. At least 2 other people would have had to have done it, right? That doesn't... Like, he wouldn't have been able to go in by himself.
Chances are he was killed the same way the ninth man was.
Seven lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it. Alone.
But why?
And waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake. But he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. Snake was the only one who went through the door. And then, 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened.
So, wait, did he actually find the dead? Was the dead right by his body? Did they have to go in and then, like, walk through his blood just to get to the dead?
I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh?
Hold on. I need to think for a second. Number 3, it would have to equal 12. So... Oh my god, my mind is going blank. 2 plus... It can't be 5, so... 2 plus... I mean, there's multiple possibilities, right? To get there.
You need at least 3 people to
I
open
imagine
one of the
they'll
numbered doors,
talk
including
about it.
Snake.
Yeah.
It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That means we're looking at multiple perps here.
It couldn't have been Lotus and, Santa. That's for sure. Junpei crossed his arms and
Well,
grunted.
just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for the parts for the Reds, I think.
Yeah.
Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned, looking for those parts.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Actually, okay, let me see. It couldn't have been Lotus because 8 and 2 is 10. The only other number it would have to be would be 2 to get 12. Right? And could have been, so 2, 7, that would be 9. It could have been 7 and Santa, but I doubt he would be telling us all this if it was him. That'd be a little bit weird.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
June
How can
seems
you
shocked.
say that so casually? You're implying that one of us is a killer.
No, he's not. He's implying that 2 of us are killers.
Well, not just one of us.
Yeah.
If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven?
But what would be the point? I'm assuming that... Ugh, dude, I don't know. Other people would have had to have gotten more information, I guess. Like...
What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
I guess...
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
But I mean, if people thought about it a little bit more, they wouldn't be killing people willy-nilly, because it makes it harder to go through rooms. Right? Like, why not wait until you're at the final thing? I guess it makes it harder, because it's easier to be, like, overpowered by a group of people, but...
Yes. That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another, and form a strong bond of friendship.
Sounds like something a murderer would say.
Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
Then does that mean that the person who killed Snake...
Yes. Almost certainly Zero himself.
What?
If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero.
See, I don't know about that. The only way I can think that it would be Zero, I don't think Zero's on this. I don't think they'd be on this ship. The only thing I can think of is that Snake was given something that allowed him to, like, advance ahead.
He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
But I don't...
Good question.
Junpei hadn't really considered
If
that.
Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
I don't... Was Zero on the ship with them? Junpei wasn't sure. He wasn't sure.
Something's still strange.
What was that?
Well, I'm just wondering about one thing.
And what's that?
How can you be so sure that Zero's on this ship?
Ace's eyebrows shot up.
Really, Junpei? I confess I'm a little disappointed. Usually you're rather sharp. Isn't it obvious?
Wait, it is?
This ship.
Huh?
Zero said, "this ship," several times when he addressed us.
That doesn't mean he's on the ship. And how else would you describe that? What other wording would you use? The ship? Like, that doesn't...
If he weren't here, he wouldn't say this ship, would he?
Yes, he could. What? That does... Okay, that doesn't make
He's
sense to
saying
me.
something like, that ship, or the ship.
No, but he could be going for dramatics too. Like, it... Anyway,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Sure. Ace's explanation made perfect sense. Junpei felt a little foolish he hadn't seen it himself. Yeah, there's no way it could be anything else. I'll take your word for it, game. Still, he was left with a question, and it was one of no small importance.
If Zero's on the ship, where is he?
Suddenly, everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back around his throat. Again, he heard the ghosting moaning voice, ghostly, I mean. And moments later, a person who looked more like a ghost than a human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone.
I think Zero is one of us.
I mean, that would make the most sense, I suppose. Ta-da! Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. If that is the case, then it's most likely to be... at this case, like, the evidence would point to it most likely being a guy, just because of what the guy, the number 9 guy said at the beginning. He did this to me, blah, blah, blah. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. But who? It was me. Well, that's possible.
Well, that's possible.
Huh?
Like Clover said, Zero might be one of us.
What are you saying, Jumpy? Didn't you hear what Ace said?
Exactly. I said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason.
All right.
No reason. I've got a great reason.
And what's that?
The bracelets.
He held out his left
Why are the
arm.
bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? You're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control if someone did something they weren't supposed to. It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier. But if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet?
It's true. If you're gonna make it automatic.
You got a point.
I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves. In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why's that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that?
Junpei let the question hang in the air and looked at the others. It was Santa who answered.
So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Junpei
Seven,
nodded.
When we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alright then. I've got a question for you, Ace.
You gonna do the math?
You said something like Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right?
Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation.
Ah, well, if Zero is one of us, maybe he did.
So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake is Zero. Hence, Zero is one of us. Seven and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other pretty well. At least they do if Zero is one of us.
No one spoke. Their faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure if they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up.
What were his motives?
His motives?
Yes,
Yeah.
isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us?
Oh.
Oh, well, that's because,
Junpei choked. He hadn't thought of that, and he hadn't been honest with himself. He had no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei.
Maybe he wanted to be involved in the
other
game
words,
too.
You only had circumstantial evidence.
I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know?
Ah.
Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him and their disapproval. He tried to find something else, anything else to look at. Then, in that horrible silence, it's 3? How long is that? That's been 6. Do we only have 3 hours left? Clock at the central staircase.
It's 3 in the morning.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Then
Makes
we need to
sense.
move now. 7, Clover, Junpei, I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
You're right, but
Junpei couldn't bring himself to respond. He swallowed the words he wanted to say and sighed. 7 and Clover remained similarly silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else, very far
We
away.
must go. We have very little time left.
I agree. Ace's words put their feet to moving. They all knew where they were
our
going.
next destination is Mercury.
All right. That's where we're going next time. We're going to Mercury. We're saving. And then we're going to Mercury. We're going to get on a spaceship. And we're heading over to Mercury. Next time.